An Italian woman, 2 doctors, and a friend descend below the crust of the earth. One of them would not see the surface of the planet for months to come. 3 of them climb back up the entrance and seal the hole.
You are watching Disrupt TV.
20 candidates apply for an experiment conducted by Pioneer Frontier Explorations and NASA. Among the applicants, one stands out, Stefania Fellini, an interior designer from Italy. Officials say she possesses an introspective nature, mental discipline. The 27-year-old is chosen. Lost Cave is among a famous stretch of networks in New Mexico called Carlsbad. A football field can fit inside of it, with the average height being about 13 feet. The perfect location for the isolation experiment. A small habitat is built for Stefania. Plexiglass and wood frame the structure, while the surface above is scorched and cooled. The cave below remains a calm 60 degrees. A computer without internet is linked to the surveillance lab above for text-based communication. Constant cameras monitor her every move, and the lights within her cube can be dimmed, but not switched off. She sends blood and urine samples to the lab via a small container lift. The number of red and white blood cells in her body has dropped, something that can occur during infections. The scientists don't know if this is the cause or something else.
These rocks, they fell from the ceiling long ago, and today they could crush me.
She decides to do something about the fear.
Figurati.
The interior designer within takes over, and she begins crafting the box into a home. Tokens of earth are placed on the walls. She attaches cutouts of a paper sun, grass, flowers, fruit, and bread to the surrounding plexiglass. A paper window peers through to a landscape of home.
Finita.
A San Jose copper and gold mine is operating at normal capacity. Deep inside one of the caves, a group of workers begin feeling something. The surrounding walls begin shaking. Their worst fears are realized. A single stone block as tall as a 45-story building has broken off from the rest of the mountain above and has begun plummeting to the surface, causing a chain disruption within the cave system. Among this damage, the entrance is closed. Some 33 workers are trapped.
Es como la piedra enfrente de la tumba de Jesús.
Back on the surface, rescuers attempt to bypass the rockfall at the main entryway by circumnavigating through alternative routes. But all of them are blocked by residual rocks. A team from the Chilean Special Operations Group, known as the Carabineros, have arrived a few hours after the initial collapse. Unfortunately, their efforts trigger a secondary collapse.
Todos somos iguales ahora. No hay jefes ni empleados.
The group takes stock of their supplies. They find enough food and water between the 33 of them to provide 10 days of sustenance for 2 men. Her blood cells have now returned to normal levels. Over the next few weeks, she wakes up between 6 and 9 a.m. After more weeks, she begins waking up at around noon. After still more weeks, she begins waking up at around 8 p.m. She has no clocks, no phones, no TV, just 400 books.
I've been dreaming about the characters in my books and about wandering among the stars.
A 12-year-old local boy took notice of the operation. He decides to ask the scientists if he can look at the computers. They agree. They ask him if he wants to try sending a message to Stefania down below. She gains a new pen pal. The boy returns once or twice a week, and while he must ensure he does not mention the time or day, the two talk about life in the US and Italy. A welcome change of pace from the boring scientific talk she's grown so accustomed to. During her days, she does Tai Chi, draws, and sometimes into the darkness.
The mice are also friendly, yes. I have named a pair of them Giuseppe and Ninetta. Yesterday, I gave them food and a small dish of water to swim. It's hard to debate with the mice. They don't talk back, and I am always right.
Fellini's sleep cycle has grown more irregular. At times she is awake for 30 hours, then she'll sleep for 12. She's effectively stretched the normal 24-hour day into a 42-hour day.
I feel as if I was born in this cave. It is the only life I can imagine.
Her menstrual cycle has altogether stopped. Her inner biological clock is non-existent. She's currently being interviewed over the computer with a reporter on the surface.
Here I am, the tyrant of time. I decide what time it is, so I create my own day. And I have time for everything I want to accomplish.
They talk for 7.5 hours. She thinks it's only been 1. She eats a mix of her favorite vegetarian food, including rice, beans, dried fruits, seaweed, and some dried milk. A micro farm also grows watercress and weed sprouts. Without her knowing, the time in between her meals has stretched farther and farther apart. Weight begins dropping off.
I'm looking thinner. I guess I must be eating less.
An infection-fighting chemical called interferon is increasing within her body. Similar increases have been known to occur within astronauts. Her bones are also taking a hit. The vertebrae in her lower back has weakened, likely due to a decrease in natural vitamin D from the sun. She attempts to play guitar and read to exercise her mind. The experiments she must catalog become increasingly difficult to focus on.
Small problems seem large. It is very difficult for me to remember if I did something an hour ago or a month ago.
The cameras watch her moments of sadness and her moments of joy, laughs and tears.
It seems sometimes this cave does not want me here. I see faces out there. Other times I am overjoyed by a sunset that I see. Vivid dreams fill my vision. Dreams of leaving this place. Dreams of my family visiting. Memories of my life before.
As far as Fellini was concerned, she had been underground for 2 months. In reality, it had been 4.
Stefania, it is I. Good. Talking to you.
I didn't think you would find me down here.
As she emerges from the depths, news reporters, scientists, and Carlsbad locals cheer her on. She says the smell of other people is wonderful.
Wow. Man,
I love the sun. It is beautiful.
The effects of the experiment lingered on with Stefania for the better part of a year, and when questioned about her mental state, she said,
I can do things now I didn't know I can do. But sometimes I feel
I don't exist anymore.
I genuinely think After Effects is one of the greatest tools available for storytelling. It's not a program for video editing or splicing, but rather taking those already cut clips and then shaping them into whatever your mind may imagine. Like what would have taken an entire team to accomplish just a few decades ago is now possible at your desk with just one computer. It's insane. But if creating videos like the one you're currently watching is something that interests you, but you don't know where to start, I've picked out 3 courses on Skillshare that I think cover the full spectrum. This first one from Rowan Lauder goes over the absolute basics in less than 2 hours. Here you can get familiar with the UI and starting a project. This next one goes over the 3D camera. The 3D function is one of the most valuable tools in my opinion because it adds an extra layer of depth that can be expanded for really cool results on almost any shot. Lastly, this one is a bit of a wild card. Sometimes I like to follow a new effect tutorial, just like a super random one, because then it can be used unexpectedly in shots down the line. This liquid effect is an example of that. So the program may not be for everyone, but if it's calling your name, I highly recommend trying to master After Effects. It's a tool that will stay with you for the rest of your creative life. If you are among the first 1,000 people to click the link in the description, you can get a free trial of Skillshare Premium and start your journey today. Thanks for watching, and good luck telling your stories. Lawrence Goldberg, the Minister of Mining, meets with the President of Chile. They are pinning hopes on an underground shelter they hope the miners have reached. If there are survivors, here is where they can receive oxygen, food, and water supplies. The President offers the operation an unlimited rescue budget. Goldberg cuts the meeting short and reaches out to colleagues around the world for help. Among these is Michael Duncan, a Deputy Chief Medical Officer from NASA. He brings with him years of experience observing the physical and mental health of astronauts in isolation. A team of engineers begin working on a rescue pod to extract any survivors from the refuge. At the personal request of the Chilean president, joins the effort. He's worked at one of the government-owned mining operations and is known for his calm composure in times of crisis. He gathers 3 teams to oversee 3 different aspects of the rescue. One team searches for survivors by drilling holes deep into the earth with the goal of reading sound signals to indicate signs of life. The second team works on how to keep possible survivors alive if found. And the third works on how to extract them. In order to survive, the workers have rationed out their food supply into 1 meal a day per person. Their meal consists of 2 cookies and a spoonful of tuna fish. Their water supply is drunk sparingly from drained industrial waste containers. At the surface, a tent city has been set up, housing many of the lost workers' wives and family members. The rescue workers have been drilling for nearly a week at this point. They have to move slow to avoid any further cave-ins. The men set up a chapel among the darkness. Mario Gomez, the eldest miner, leads them in prayer. The rescue team reaches a depth of 2,260 feet, and very faintly, they hear a tapping on the drill. The miners tie a note to the drill bit, telling the world for the first time they are alive. Later on in the day, they send and receive back a camera displaying their condition. Food, water, and medical supplies also arrive through the small hole, buying them time. Over the next few weeks, the small hole is slowly widened, and by the second half of October, the evacuation plan is set in motion. In a collaboration between NASA and the Chilean Navy, the rescue capsule, called the Phoenix, is large enough for one person. Inside hosts a microphone for two-way communication, oxygen, and wheels to smoothly roll against the rocky tunnel. On October 11th, the shaft is reinforced with metal tubes to avoid last-minute failures, and by October 13th, the miners ascend, one by one, back into the light. Chile is the world's #1 producer of copper, iodine, and rhenium, and to this date, the 2-month ordeal is considered the worst mining accident in the country's history. Many of the miners filed lawsuits against the San Esteban Mining Company, stating their regular working conditions did not take into account the health of their employees. Ultimately, in 2013, the case was dropped. The company was billed 25% of the rescue operation cost, which cost the country about $22 million. Each of the miners received a $10,000 gift from Leonardo Farkas, and 14 of the miners were given a lifetime monthly pension of $500 from Chile's First Lady, Cecilia Morel. When asked about the ordeal, one of the miners, Mario, simply said,
Estaba con Dios y con el diablo. Y Dios me llevó.
So I just had this thought, so if the universe is infinite, is it rendering at an infinite rate? Or is it just simply infinite with no rendering, just infinite?
Man, our clever humor lives in a maze.